Bula Vinaka and welcome to Close Up. The momentum for the new academic year for our tertiary institutions is now slowly picking up. While some students are still awaiting for their placement at our three major universities, some have already started. Tonight on the show, we feature another tertiary institution in the country, the Fiji National University. At the FNU, we speak to some of the key people driving the institution forward to make higher education a reality for thousands of our local students. Thank you so much, Mr. Suneda Takuvula, the Registrar of the Fiji National University. So how do you describe the year 2013 for FNU and what were some of the highlights?
I think the last year we've increased the number of enrollment of students. We have also increased greatly the number of programs, new programs of studies for the students. And we've also established links with universities overseas. A number of them very outstanding universities that we have signed a memorandum of understanding or memorandum of agreement in cooperation in exchange of staff and research and a whole range of areas. So there's interest in overseas in the development of FNU and willingness to assist. I think in the last year we have purchased land, about 2,800 acres of land in Habua, which is a significant boost to our agricultural programs, especially on the practical aspect of the studies of students at the College of Agriculture, Fisheries and Forests.
How have you seen the overall growth of FNU in terms of staff, student numbers and development of programs?
Oh, it's very positive. We have recruited a lot of new staff from Fiji and overseas. We have acquired, as I said, a number of properties, and we have built a number of facilities like lecture halls and so on. And we have plans for building more in the next 10 years. And we have introduced, as I said, programs which are very relevant to the needs of the workforce in Fiji. We have actually greatly increased the number of students enrolled year by year in the last 3 years or so. All colleges have increased the number of enrollment. I can't give any final figures because we are still in the process of enrolling students. We've just enrolled students for the trimester terms and the semester terms, and this will roll over into next month when we enroll students from semester terms.
And what was the student enrollment like last year in 2013?
Well, last year we had about 33,000 students who studied at FNU.
Mr. Registrar, I understand FNU has placed a lot of emphasis on getting experienced academic staff, both locally and overseas. What are the reasons behind this?
Any new university, ambitious university like FNU, needs experienced staff. And we are recruiting a lot of experienced staff from overseas, as well as from Fiji. We've had a number of professors from USP have come over to teach here. So that's very important for us, that we have both bright young staff, but very important to be mentored and by more experienced academics. And we have been advertising overseas. And it's interesting that a great number of highly qualified and experienced academics overseas were interested to come and teach here.
Are you happy with the student numbers enrolled so far for this year? And how has the various educational initiatives announced by the government assisted the institution in getting more students?
Certainly the initiatives of the government in terms of giving more scholarships, especially in the Tibet area, has greatly boosted our numbers this year, and we expect that we will be enrolling a great number of students who never thought of going to university before, because the government has given these opportunities through scholarships and loans will come to the FNU.
The government has also placed a lot of emphasis on education this year in terms of providing scholarships and loans. How will this, do you think, benefit the country?
Well, it means we will have more people who have had or will have tertiary education, and that is a great bit benefit to the country. And also the range of skills they will acquire from the great number of programs we have introduced. There's about 300 programs. It's phenomenal what we have achieved in the last 3 years. 300 programs which are designed to meet the needs of the market. And everywhere, in every country, the leaders say that the key to development is to have educated people, highly educated people, because the innovation in business, in technology, and acquiring of and production of knowledge that develop the country comes out from the resource of the educated people that country produces. And I think the Fiji government is on the right track.
Registrar, what are some of the challenges faced by the FNU?
There are a number of challenges that we face generally. We need to place a lot more emphasis on education this year, and in terms of providing scholarship, and the government has come on board on that. We need to, as I've said earlier, more emphasis on tertiary education. And the other challenge is to ensure that this university can really develop its potential. We have a strategic plan, and that's for the next 10 years. And it's quite ambitious. And we now need support for the development of the university. We hope that at the end of this year, after the election, there will be more funding that will come from the government and from overseas to help develop the university.
Thank you so much, Registrar, for your time. Thank you so much, Dr. Reddy, for your time today. Dr. Reddy, FNU has announced several new programs such as Law, Executive MBA program, several new TVET programs. Obviously, there must have been research done prior to the implementation of these programs. So can you tell us how are these courses different from the ones offered by the other tertiary institutions?
What we did was, with respect to law, is we said we will align with a reputable international university and adapt their curriculum, add a few units which will capture the dimensions of Pacific law and of our law program. So what it does is that the product will ensure, whoever gets the product will ensure that they are not only of high quality, but they are also internationally marketable. With respect to MBA, we noted in the market what the industry wanted was an executive MBA, an MBA which prepares executives to deal with contemporary issues of supply chain management, issues of how to deal or upskill yourself with the rapidly changing technology, issues of corporate governance. These are the critical issues that the contemporary CEOs are facing. As an institution operating in a competitive market, we have to understand the market, what the industry wants, and what are the existing products in the market, whether they're addressing the needs of the market. If not, let's offer a product which will differentiate those who take our product from the rest of the flock.
Dr. Reddy, when we talk about law and executive MBA programs offered at FNU, one important component is fee charged by the institution. So how is the fee for these two programs structured?
The law program and the executive MBA program are two of the number of other self-funding programs. For example, the aviation program, the MBBS program are self-funding program. Now, so what we did was, while we utilized the formula to assist us in setting the fee, we also looked at what would be the approximate number of students that will be in the class, first year, second year, etc. What is the cost of delivering this program? Based on that, we worked out what would the fee should be.
How has been the response so far in terms of enrollment for these two programs?
Overwhelming, to the extent that I've asked the college that from Today, there will be no more intakes in the law and MBA program because we have space problem. This year, we're looking at, we made a case to the Vice Chancellor to construct some new classrooms.
FNU is also planning to develop centers in Lambasa. I believe construction is well underway. Similarly, in South Avuni, Nambawalu, and Senganga. Can you tell us more about this expansion plan of FNU, please?
We are thankful to government for their vision on developing infrastructure and institutions outside the center. This will help develop the economies in these areas and also keep population there. And in line of that, government has approved FNU to develop a fully fledged campus in Mombasa. Government has provided land, and also government has provided funding. Construction work has started. We, as you know, at the moment we are scattered all over Mombasa. We got about 4 places where we got our programs being offered. And there are a lot of problems with that. One, you don't have quality infrastructure. Second, you've got duplication of facilities like library, computer labs, security, front office staff, etc. What we want is to operate from a central location, so the land that government has provided large enough to have fully fledged lower level agriculture programs, maritime programs. We're looking we are offering full degree programs out of Lambasa campus now. So all these will be consolidated under one structure.
What sort of students does FNU aim to mold when they graduate?
Higher education stream program, these are bachelor's degree, masters and PhD. These are the critical thinkers. These are the people who would expand the body of knowledge, who would think outside the box, who would question the existing body of knowledge. Then we have got TVET stream program, which will produce technicians, these skilled workers who will go and actually do things. And what we aim to do is the product that we will be producing is a finished product. Before the student graduates, we introduce the industry to them through industrial attachment. The other way is that we bring in people in the TVET program who have got industry experience. These are people who have performed in the industry. So not only they are qualified, but they are also experienced people. So we bring the hands-on industry exposure into the classroom during the teaching through having a cadre of people in the teaching side who are familiar with the industry environment. So what we are expecting to do, what we are doing is that we are producing a different kind of product which will make a difference immediately when they enter the market.
FNU has also in the past years purchased several properties, and I believe that is all part of the strategic planning. Can you tell us how will the institution develop these properties and how will this benefit the students?
As a national university, we have to reach out to the entire nation. We cannot only operate out of Suva or the main city of Lautoka, let's say. We have to take education to the people. In this regard, you would have noted we have got new centers at Rekereki, Singatoka, which we didn't have before. We are expanding our Lambasa campus. We are expanding our Lautoka campus. But we are developing a campus in Tavuni, a center in Tavuni. So the idea is to go out and take education to those people who probably can't make it to the urban area for different reasons. We want to offer a education which is relevant to the industry, where people have the skills, they are able to go and do things. Now, unless we expose them to the hands-on practice of it, we won't be able to do justice. It is in this regard that we have acquired properties where we could have workshops, labs, farms, where students doing their studies in this relevant area will be able to actually do their practical training.
Last question, Dr. Reddy, how is FNU keeping tabs on its alumni in terms of their employment, whether or not they are employed, and what rate and percentage of FNU graduates are employed into the workforce?
we've just established a pro forma based on which we will get database on that. At the moment, we haven't made any inroads in getting full database. So once we have the database, we will be able to answer your question more fully.
Thank you, Dr. Ismaili, for your time today. Dr. Ismaili, FNU has placed a lot of emphasis on offering vocational courses. Can you just tell us what are the intentions behind these courses, please?
70% of our programs are TVET programs, which shows our aim or our goal to strengthen TVET training and skills training in Fiji. There is a lot of need for skilled workers in our industries such as manufacturing, construction, hospitality, and of course agriculture. And TVET training will enable us to meet those, to fill up those gaps, skilled worker gaps that we have in the industries in Fiji. You'll also notice that our programs, our TVET programs, are aligned to this vision provided by the Fiji government in skilling our young people, providing them with the necessary tools to be employed in our industries all over the country, and also to find jobs overseas.
Dr. Ismaili, government is also offering scholarships to students for TVET. So how has this helped enrollment-wise for FNU?
Enrollment has changed a lot. There's a lot of interest in TVET programs. And this has been boosted with the provision, the $5 million scholarship provision by government. We are looking for 1,200 to 1,500 students, and we are getting interests from all over Fiji, from the outer islands, and as well as the major islands. And we are also very interestingly attracting students with very high scores. Before we used to have this idea that TVET was for students with lower scores in examinations. But that is not the case. We have students coming into our TVET diploma and certificate programs who score above 300 in Form 7.
Dr. Ismaili, when we talk about TVET programs, one thing that comes to our mind is that TVET is usually male-dominated. But do you see that changing now?
Time has changed. Gone are the days when we have women going into home economics and being relegated to doing household chores. Women today, they are pursuing different pathways altogether. I'm really glad to confirm that we have many young women in FNU who are enrolled in civil engineering, electronic engineering, automotive engineering, even architecture, and a host of them are even going into agriculture.
Dr. Ismaili, do you think government providing scholarships for TVET education is a worthy investment for the country?
We at FNU, we share government's vision that TVET is the way to go in order to provide the necessary skills that our industries all over the country need in order to develop and to grow. We need TVET to provide the necessary skills and employment and self-employment. And this $5 million scholarship boost is the first of its kind in the South Pacific. And we are glad that our government has this vision, and it's the best thing that has ever happened for TVET in Fiji.
Brain drain has been an issue always faced by Fiji, so how successful has FNU been in filling that vacuum?
Brain drain is a very complicated issue to deal with, but there are advantages of brain drain and there are disadvantages. If you look at an advantage of having our people go overseas to work, have a look at the number of remittances, the figures to do with remittances coming in, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. That is an advantage. On the other hand, we need people to stay in Fiji to work. And that is why we have this bond in place for those people who take up the TVET scholarship. Government expects them to make use of that knowledge and skills to work in Fiji, to develop our local industries, our manufacturing industries, our construction industries, our hospitality industries, and especially agriculture and commercial agriculture.
you so much, Professor Ian Ross, for your time today. Professor, how would you describe 2013 for the College of Medicine, Nursing and Health Sciences?
Last year, like every year in health sciences, is pretty challenging. We have a lot of students with an interest in programs in health, and getting them all through successfully sometimes is a challenge. Particularly in nursing last year, because last year we actually had at the beginning of the year 4 classes, and we were in the process of moving to start the nursing program in the beginning of the year from an old program which went split through years. So last year in nursing we graduated, for example, 2 classes. So close to 350 nursing students. Now this year in nursing we will be taking 200 or just over 200 students into first year nursing. Last year we introduced a Bachelor of Nursing. It's, in my view, a very strong, very competitive program, and our graduates will be as good as people with, or graduates with a bachelor's in Australia, New Zealand or other countries.
What are some of the plans for the college in 2014 and beyond?
In terms of 2014, last year we introduced a Bachelor of Nursing program. This year we're piloting, with support from the government, an enrolled nursing program, which will just be a 1-year program, largely spent in the hospital. Next year we'll be introducing a bridging program in nursing. So all of those probably 1,800 nurses in Fiji who have a diploma might consider a bridging program, which will be probably just over 1 year, and they could bridge from a diploma to a Bachelor of Nursing. A couple of years ago we introduced new programs in postgraduate medicine, so emergency medicine and psychiatry and pathology, and now this year we're moving to master's level, certainly in emergency medicine and in pathology. We've introduced postgraduate programs in nursing, such as nursing management, and this year also in nursing we're looking at a postgraduate certificate in child health nursing and diabetic nursing. There's an interest in oral health in moving to offer a postgrad program in oral surgery.
How well does the college prepare students to work for Fiji or regional countries' health sector?
Ideally, the programs that we offer are relevant for the graduates that we produce. They need to be able to go and work in the health system, whatever they are, whether they're doctors or nurses or pharmacists or physiotherapists or public health people. So we have to make sure they've got the right set of skills. And then we have to try and train them somehow to be compassionate. Because when you go and work in the health department or the health system, wherever you are, you're going to have to deal with sick people, people who need support and compassion. So from my point, I think we're doing a pretty good job of providing that kind of education. A lot of focus in our program on community work, of understanding of what it's like to go and work in a community or a village. In their final year of medicine, they have to spend virtually half of the year in the community, in various public health or health management attachments. So I think our students the courses are internationally recognised, they're of a good standard, and the way our programs are structured, I think the graduates are career ready.
Professor, what are some of the emerging issues and trends in the country or Pacific Island countries' health sector that the college is aiming to address by incorporating that into its curriculum?
In the Pacific, we're still struggling with the infectious diseases. In Fiji, the minister calls them the 3 plagues: dengue, leptospirosis and typhoid. We haven't solved those infectious diseases. In other countries there's malaria and there's tuberculosis and other. So we still have those infectious diseases, but the biggest health challenge is now the non-communicable diseases. Some people might say the lifestyle diseases. And in terms of risk factors, it's smoking, drinking too much, no exercise, obesity and so on, but that will flow on to diabetes, stroke, heart attack, cancer, mental illness and so on. Without question, they're the biggest challenge. So I've got to make sure that the graduates that I produce, particularly in nursing, they'll be at the front line, and in medicine, understand what are the challenges and how to deal with people in the community. Not just in the major cities, but out in the villages and the islands and so on. Somehow we've got to get through to people that they've got to look after themselves.
Thank you so much, Professor Rose, for your time today.
And that's the show for this week. Next week we take a final look at our final tertiary institution, the University of Fiji. Until then, good evening and stay safe.